It started as an ordinary day on the Tesla factory floor. But when Elon Musk noticed one particular worker, a disabled veteran struggling silently, he didn't just walk past. What he did next would change this man's life forever and send shockwaves across the internet. The world knows Elon Musk as a billionaire, an innovator, a man constantly pushing the boundaries of technology. But very few know about his quiet acts of kindness, the ones that never make headlines. This is one of those stories. The steady hum of machinery echoed across the Tesla Gigafactory in Austin, Texas. The massive assembly line moved with precision, robotic arms working seamlessly alongside human hands. Engineers monitored screens, workers tightened bolts, and automated carts zipped by, delivering parts to their destinations. In the middle of this controlled chaos, a man named David Carter worked diligently at his station. He was in his late 50s, his once muscular frame slightly worn by time. His right leg was a prosthetic, evidence of a sacrifice made years ago in a distant land. A veteran of the U.S. Army, David had served in Iraq, where an IED explosion had taken part of his leg and nearly taken his life. Despite his injury, David refused to be defined by his disability. He had worked hard to secure a job at Tesla, eager to be part of something bigger than himself. But every day came with its struggles, the long hours on his feet, the constant motion of the factory floor, the silent glances from coworkers who didn't know his full story. David never complained. He had been through worse. But on this particular day, someone did notice him. Elon Musk was in the factory that afternoon for an unannounced visit. He often walked the factory floor without a press entourage, preferring to observe operations firsthand. Dressed casually in a black t-shirt and jeans, he blended in with the engineers and technicians, listening to their ideas, asking sharp questions. As he walked past a row of workers, something caught his eye. David. Musk noticed the slight stiffness in David's movement, the way he adjusted his weight every few steps, the quiet fatigue in his eyes. He watched as David continued working without hesitation, assembling battery modules with precise movements. Elon stopped, observing for a moment before stepping closer. "Hey," Musk said casually, his voice cutting through the noise. David looked up, surprised. His co-workers turned their heads. After all, it wasn't every day that the CEO of Tesla stopped at your workstation. David wiped his hands on his coveralls and straightened up. "Sir," he said with the reflexive respect of a soldier. Musk tilted his head. "You're a veteran, aren't you?" David nodded. "Yes, sir. U.S. Army. Served in Iraq." Musk's expression shifted slightly, an almost imperceptible change, but one that signaled deep respect. "Thank you for your service," he said. "How long have you been working here?" "About a year and a half," David replied. "Love the job. Tough sometimes, but I like working with my hands. Feels purposeful." Musk nodded thoughtfully. "And your leg? Does the job accommodate what you need?" David hesitated for a second. He had never been one to ask for special treatment. "I manage," he said. "Some days are harder than others, but I get through it." Musk studied him for a moment, then smiled slightly. "Come with me." David blinked. "Sir?" Musk gestured for him to follow. "I want to show you something." David exchanged a glance with his co-workers, who were just as confused as he was, but he wasn't about to question one of the most influential men in the world. He set down his tools and followed Musk toward the executive offices. As they walked through the corridors, Musk spoke casually. "You know, I have a lot of respect for veterans. Some of the smartest, hardest-working people I've met served in the military." David nodded. "We're trained to adapt, to problem solve. I guess that fits well in a place like this." Musk smirked. "Exactly." They reached an office where a few Tesla engineers were gathered around a prototype exoskeleton. The sleek metal frame gleamed under the fluorescent lights, looking like something out of a sci-fi movie. David's eyes widened. "Is that a Tesla-designed exosuit?" Musk confirmed. Still in development, but close to being production ready. Designed to assist with heavy lifting, reduce strain on joints, and help people like you work with less pain. David was speechless. Musk crossed his arms. I want you to be the first to test it. David's heart pounded. Me? Musk nodded. You understand what it's like to push through challenges. If this suit can help you, it can help a lot of other people too. Veterans, factory workers, people recovering from injuries. David swallowed hard. He had never asked for anything, never sought special treatment. But for the first time in years, someone was offering him a real chance to not just manage, but thrive. Sir, David said, his voice thick with emotion, I don't know what to say. Musk clapped a hand on his shoulder. Say yes. David looked at the exosuit, then back at Musk. And then, for the first time in a long time, he allowed himself to believe in something bigger than just getting by. He nodded. Yes. David Carter ran his fingers over the sleek metallic surface of the exosuit. It felt surreal, like something out of a futuristic war movie. He had spent years adapting to his prosthetic, learning how to manage the pain and discomfort. But now, standing here in the Tesla R&D lab, he realized something. He had never considered that things could actually get better. Elon Musk observed him closely, hands in his pockets. It's lightweight, he explained, made from aerospace-grade materials. Think of it as an extension of your body, designed to reduce fatigue and improve mobility. David looked at the small team of engineers who were standing nearby, waiting for his reaction. He could see the pride in their eyes. They weren't just designing a piece of technology. They were building something that could change lives. One of the engineers, a woman named Dr. Avery Mitchell, stepped forward. Mr. Carter, if you're comfortable, we'd like to fit the exosuit to your specifications. David hesitated. This wasn't just some product on a shelf. This was something that could redefine how he lived his life. Finally, he nodded. Let's do it. The first test. A few minutes later, David sat on a specialized chair as Dr. Mitchell and her team attached the exosuit components. The metal frame wrapped around his legs, secured by soft yet durable padding. Sensors lined his prosthetic limb, and the suit's AI calibration system hummed softly as it analyzed his movements. Musk leaned against a nearby workbench, watching closely. All right, David, try standing up. David took a deep breath and pushed himself up. The moment his feet touched the ground, he felt it, an incredible lightness. The weight that usually bore down on his joints was almost gone. His prosthetic leg, which normally required extra effort to move, responded fluidly. He took a tentative step, then another, and then, without thinking, he walked, really walked, without feeling the usual strain. He turned back to Musk and the engineers, his eyes wide. This is unreal. Musk grinned. Good. Now let's see what you can really do. From the factory floor to a new mission. The next few weeks were transformative. David continued working at Tesla, but now he had a new role. Not just an employee, but a tester, providing real-time feedback on the exosuit's functionality. The more he used it, the more he realized how much it could help others. He thought about his fellow veterans, men and women who had suffered injuries and struggled to return to normal life. How many of them could regain their independence with technology like this? One afternoon, Musk called him into his office. David, he said, I want to expand this project. Not just for factory workers, but for veterans, people with disabilities, anyone who needs it. David's heart pounded. You mean making this available outside Tesla? Musk nodded. I want you to help lead that initiative. David felt the weight of the moment. He had spent so long just trying to survive. Now, he had a chance to change things. He extended his hand. I'm in. Musk shook his hand firmly. Then let's get to work. David Carter stood in Tesla's state-of-the-art lab, staring at the blueprints laid out before him. The exosuit project had started as an experiment, just an idea to improve worker efficiency. But now, under Elon Musk's direction, it had evolved into something far greater. This could change everything, David muttered to himself. He had spent years adapting to his disability, pushing through pain, learning how to function in a world that wasn't built for people like him. But now, instead of struggling to keep up, he had the chance to lead, to make sure no one else had to fight the same battles alone. Across the table, Dr. Avery Mitchell pointed at a diagram. The biggest challenge is affordability. We can make the exosuit better, faster, more intuitive, but if it's too expensive, the people who need it most won't be able to access it. David glanced at Musk, who was leaning back in his chair, listening intently. Elon nodded. That's why we're shifting gears. We don't just want to sell this technology. We want to disrupt the entire industry. We're going to make it affordable, scalable, and we're going to make sure veterans, first responders, and people with mobility challenges are the first to benefit. David felt a surge of determination. So, what's the next step? Musk smirked. We test it, on a bigger scale. The ultimate test. 3 weeks later, David found himself standing in front of a massive group of veterans at a special event hosted by Tesla. Some were in wheelchairs, others used prosthetics. A few had visible scars, while others carried wounds that couldn't be seen. David took a deep breath. Public speaking wasn't his strong suit, but this wasn't just any speech. This was about showing these men and women that they weren't forgotten. He looked over at Musk, who gave him an encouraging nod. Then he turned back to the crowd. I know what it's like to feel like your best days are behind you, David began. To wake up and wonder if you'll ever feel whole again. But I also know that we're stronger than we realize. And today, I want to show you something that might change everything. He stepped to the center of the stage, where a sleek, upgraded exosuit awaited. With a slow, deliberate motion, he strapped himself in. The suit's sensors adjusted to his body in real time. A quiet hum filled the air as the motors activated. Then, David did something that made the entire crowd go silent. He ran. For the first time in years, he sprinted across the stage, moving as if his injuries had never happened. The audience gasped. Some people stood. Others wiped their eyes. David skidded to a stop and turned back, breathless. This is what's possible. Musk stepped forward, smiling. And we're just getting started. A movement is born. The video of David's demonstration went viral overnight. News outlets called it the future of mobility. Veterans groups flooded Tesla's inbox with messages of hope and support. Even government agencies took notice, inquiring about large-scale implementation. David could hardly keep up with the response. But he didn't need to. Musk had already anticipated it. This isn't just about Tesla, Musk told him during a late-night strategy session. This is about rewriting the future. You up for that? David nodded without hesitation. Absolutely. And with that, they launched Project Phoenix, a global initiative dedicated to providing life-changing technology to those who needed it most. For the first time in a long time, David knew he wasn't just surviving, he was thriving. A vision for the future. As news of Project Phoenix spread, something unexpected happened. Other major companies, rivals of Tesla, began reaching out, asking how they could contribute. Medical researchers, prosthetic engineers, and even space exploration scientists wanted to collaborate. It wasn't just about helping veterans anymore. This was about changing the world. David found himself in meetings with some of the brightest minds in technology and medicine. The conversations were overwhelming at times, but Elon Musk had a way of simplifying even the most complex ideas. We're not just building a product, Musk told the team during a late-night brainstorming session. We're building a revolution. People have spent decades trying to fix disabilities. We're not fixing anything. We're giving people power. David had never thought of it that way before. But he realized Musk was right. For years, the world had looked at people with disabilities as individuals who needed help. But with the exosuit technology, that perspective was shifting. They weren't helping people, they were empowering them. An unexpected challenge. Of course, not everyone supported the movement. Several politicians and lobbyists started raising concerns about the project's rapid expansion. Some accused Musk of using veterans as a PR stunt. Others feared that making exoskeleton technology affordable would disrupt industries that profited from outdated medical equipment. David was furious when he read some of the headlines. "Elon, how do we fight this?" he asked one evening. Musk leaned back in his chair, completely unfazed. "We don't." David frowned. "What do you mean?" Musk smirked. "We don't fight them. We outwork them. We let the results speak for themselves. When people see what this can do, when they watch a father walk his daughter down the aisle after years in a wheelchair, or a veteran play basketball with his kids for the first time, they'll forget about the noise. The truth always wins." David exhaled slowly. It wasn't the answer he expected, but it was the answer he needed. A historic moment. Months later, Tesla hosted an event that would go down in history. A stadium was packed with thousands of people. Millions more tuned in online. The event had one purpose: to show the world the real impact of Project Phoenix. One by one, individuals took the stage: veterans, accident survivors, people with spinal cord injuries. And one by one, they did things no one ever thought they'd do again. A young Marine, paralyzed in combat, stood up and saluted. A former firefighter, injured saving lives, ran across the stage. An elderly woman, wheelchair-bound for over a decade, danced with her husband. The crowd erupted in applause. Tears flowed freely. And then, David took the stage. He looked out at the sea of faces, the people who had been told, "You can't," for years. He smiled. "Yes, you can," he said simply. The cheers were deafening. The energy in the stadium was electric. David stood at the center of the stage, his heart pounding. The applause seemed to last forever, but when the noise finally settled, he looked out at the audience and took a deep breath. "This isn't just about me," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "This isn't just about Tesla. This is about every single person who has been told they can't. This is about proving them wrong." A massive screen behind him lit up with footage of veterans, workers, and civilians using the exosuit in their everyday lives. Some were walking for the first time in decades. Others were returning to jobs they thought they'd lost forever. The images spoke louder than any speech ever could. Elon Musk walked onto the stage, standing next to David. "This is just the beginning," he said, his usual calm demeanor tinged with excitement. "We're not here to compete with anyone. We're here to change humanity." The crowd erupted again, and in that moment, David knew he was a part of something far bigger than himself. A personal triumph. After the event, David found himself surrounded by journalists, tech enthusiasts, and investors. Everyone wanted to know what came next. But before he could answer, a familiar voice called out, "David?" He turned and saw his mother standing at the edge of the stage. She was wiping tears from her eyes, her hands trembling slightly. "You did it," she whispered. David swallowed hard, his emotions threatening to overwhelm him. "We did it, Mom." She pulled him into a tight hug, and for the first time in a long time, David felt whole. A promise. Kept. Days after the event, Musk called David into his office. "We're expanding," Musk announced, sliding a document across the table. "We have offers to partner with hospitals, universities, even NASA. I want you to be at the center of it." David stared at the document in shock. "You mean, you want me to run this?" Musk smirked. "Who else? You built this with me. You understand it better than anyone. And most importantly, you care. David took a deep breath, realizing that everything he had fought for, everything he had worked toward, had led to this moment. I won't let you down, he said. Musk grinned. I know. And just like that, David went from a factory worker to a leader of a movement that would change the world. David sat in his new office, still getting used to the title, Director of Tesla Adaptive Technologies. Just weeks ago, he was working on the factory floor, assembling Tesla vehicles. Now he was leading a team of engineers, medical experts, and researchers, all working toward a single goal: revolutionizing mobility for disabled individuals worldwide. The weight of responsibility was massive, but David embraced it. He had a mission, and he refused to let anything stand in his way. One afternoon, as he reviewed the latest prototype of the Tesla exosuit, his phone rang. David? This is General Thomas Briggs, U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. I saw your presentation. We need to talk. David's heart raced. The VA. This could be the breakthrough he had been waiting for. A meeting that could change everything. A week later, David found himself in Washington, D.C., standing in front of some of the most powerful officials in the country. General Briggs wasted no time. David, what you and Tesla have created could change millions of lives. The problem is, government systems are slow. Too slow. David nodded. I know, sir. That's why I'm here. Briggs leaned forward. We're prepared to fund a nationwide rollout, but we need proof that this technology works on a large scale. If we can demonstrate real results, we can integrate this into the VA healthcare system. David's mind raced. This wasn't just about helping a few veterans. This was about changing an entire system. I'll get you your proof, David promised. Briggs smirked. Good. I was hoping you'd say that. Putting the exosuit to the ultimate test, David and his team set up pilot programs in VA hospitals across the country. They worked day and night, training veterans to use the exosuit, gathering data, and making adjustments. At first, there were challenges, skepticism, technical difficulties, and bureaucratic hurdles. But slowly, something incredible started happening. Veterans who had given up on ever walking again were taking their first steps. Men and women who thought their careers were over were returning to work. The world was watching, and the results? Undeniable. The moment that changed everything. Months later, David stood before Congress, presenting the results of the pilot program. The room was packed. Senators, veterans, doctors, and journalists, all eager to hear what he had to say. He played a video of a paralyzed Marine standing up for the first time in 15 years. The silence in the room was deafening. When the video ended, David took a deep breath. This isn't science fiction. This is real. And if we act now, we can give thousands, millions of people their lives back. For a moment, no one spoke. Then, the applause started. A senator stood, then another, and another. The vote was unanimous. The government would partner with Tesla to distribute the exosuit to veterans across the country. David had done it. But this was only the beginning. David had changed the future for veterans, but Elon Musk had an even bigger vision. One afternoon, Elon called David to his office at Tesla headquarters in Austin, Texas. David, we've done something incredible, Elon said, looking over the latest reports. But we're thinking too small. David raised an eyebrow. Too small. We just secured a nationwide partnership with the VA. Elon leaned back, a familiar glint of ambition in his eyes. Exactly. Now, we take this global. David felt the weight of the words. Global? We're not just talking about veterans, Elon continued. We're talking about millions of disabled individuals around the world. People with spinal cord injuries, degenerative diseases, and conditions that make mobility nearly impossible. David nodded. You want to make this technology affordable for everyone. Not just affordable, Elon said. I want it to be free. David's heart skipped a beat. Elon, how? Elon grinned. That's what you and I are going to figure out. Tesla's biggest gamble. Yet the plan was ambitious, even by Tesla's standards. They would partner with governments, NGOs, and private donors to fund the mass production of the Tesla exosuit. Within weeks, factories were retooled and production began. The goal? 1 million exosuits in 5 years. Tesla employees rallied behind the project. Engineers, software developers, and assembly line workers felt a new sense of purpose. They weren't just building cars anymore. They were building second chances at life. The media caught wind of the initiative, dubbing it the Tesla Human Revolution. And then, the applications started pouring in. From Africa to Asia, Europe to South America, people with mobility impairments wrote letters, shared videos, and begged for a chance to walk again. For David, it was overwhelming. He read every letter, every story. One stood out. A message from a little girl in India. David opened an email from a 7-year-old girl named Priya in Mumbai. She had been born with a rare neuromuscular disorder, unable to stand or walk on her own. Her parents had heard about the Tesla exosuit project and sent a simple message. My daughter dreams of walking. Can you help her? David immediately forwarded the email to Elon. Within minutes, Elon responded with 2 words. We're going. The first international trial Tesla engineers and medical specialists flew to Mumbai, carrying the first batch of pediatric exosuits. The entire mission was kept secret from the media. In a small clinic, Priya sat in her wheelchair, eyes wide with excitement, as the team carefully fitted the exosuit to her tiny frame. The moment came. Priya took her first steps. Her mother collapsed in tears. Her father covered his mouth, unable to believe what he was seeing. Priya looked up at David and whispered, "Thank you." David had to turn away for a moment, overwhelmed. For the first time, he realized this was bigger than anything he had ever imagined. The world takes notice. As Tesla expanded the exosuit project worldwide, the impact was unbelievable. Children who had never walked before were running for the first time. Elderly individuals who had lost mobility were dancing with their loved ones. Paralyzed individuals were standing again, regaining their confidence and independence. The world couldn't look away. Major news outlets covered story after story, and soon, Tesla was flooded with donations from philanthropists, businesses, and even everyday people. Governments that had once ignored disabled communities were now scrambling to partner with Tesla. And at the center of it all was David, the man who had once been an assembly line worker, now leading a revolution in human mobility. But not everyone was happy about Tesla's growing influence. A storm was coming. As Tesla's exosuit revolution spread, not everyone was thrilled. Traditional medical device companies, insurance giants, and powerful lobbyists saw Tesla's free technology as a threat. For decades, companies had charged hundreds of thousands of dollars for mobility solutions that were often out of reach for most disabled individuals. Now, Tesla was giving exosuits away for free. The backlash came swiftly and aggressively. The corporate war begins. Within weeks of Tesla's global expansion, a coalition of medical corporations and insurance companies held an emergency meeting in Washington, D.C. Their goal? To stop Elon Musk. One executive, a powerful CEO of a top medical device company, slammed his fist on the table. "This is a disaster for our industry. We make billions selling overpriced wheelchairs and prosthetics. If Musk makes exosuits free, we're finished." Another CEO nodded grimly. "We need to act now. If we don't shut this down, Tesla will control the entire market." One insurance executive leaned forward, smirking. "We don't have to fight him directly. We just need to make it impossible for Tesla to operate legally." That's when the real war began. The legal attacks on Tesla. Within days, powerful lawsuits flooded Tesla's headquarters. patent infringement claims, regulatory complaints, false safety accusations. News stations suddenly aired investigations, claiming Tesla's exosuit posed health risks. Political leaders, who had quietly taken money from the medical industry, began questioning Tesla's project. Should private companies really be giving away medical devices? The attacks were relentless. David watched as Tesla's legal team worked around the clock, fighting battles on multiple fronts. But Elon? He just laughed. "They're scared," Elon said, smirking. "That means we're winning." David's public stand. David knew they had to fight back, but instead of playing defense, he decided to go public. One night, he sat down for an exclusive interview on 60 Minutes. The host, a well-known journalist, wasted no time. "David, critics say Tesla's exosuit project is disrupting the medical industry in a dangerous way. What's your response?" David leaned forward, his voice steady and unshaken. "You're right. It is disrupting the industry, because the industry is broken." The audience went silent. For years, corporations have made billions off people who had no other options. Now that Tesla is offering a better, more affordable solution, they want to shut us down. But we're not backing down. The interviewer pressed. "So you're saying Tesla's giving away technology that would normally cost hundreds of thousands of dollars?" David nodded. "Yes, because mobility is a human right, not a luxury." The clip went viral overnight. After David's interview, millions rallied behind Tesla. Hashtags like #NonMobilityForAll and #NotTeslaCares trended worldwide. People boycotted insurance companies that opposed the project. Protests erupted outside medical corporations' headquarters. Tesla's stock soared. Elon personally called David, laughing. "Congrats, man. You just turned a corporate war into a people's movement." David grinned. "It's not just a movement, it's a revolution." But the medical industry wasn't done yet. They had one final, desperate plan. A plan that could destroy everything Tesla had built. And this time, they weren't just coming after the company. They were coming after David himself. One morning, David walked into Tesla's headquarters and felt the tension immediately. Employees whispered. Security guards were on high alert. Then, one of Tesla's legal advisors rushed toward him, his face pale. "David, we have a problem." David frowned. "What kind of problem?" The lawyer handed him a folder. Inside were dozens of fabricated accusations. Fake safety concerns about Tesla's exosuit, false claims that David had insider deals with suppliers, leaked emails that were heavily edited to make him look corrupt. And the worst part? Every major news outlet was already running the story. David's heart pounded. This was a setup. By noon, every major TV network ran headlines like, "Tesla executive caught in shocking scandal, exosuit project in danger." Breaking, leaked documents raise questions about Tesla's exosuit program. The media twisted the narrative. They claimed Tesla was cutting corners, that David was personally profiting off the technology, that Tesla's free exosuits were actually a dangerous publicity stunt. David's phone exploded with calls. Friends, family, reporters, lawyers, even Tesla's investors started panicking. And then, the worst call came in. Elon Musk. David braced himself as he answered. Elon cut him off, his voice calm but firm. "David, take a deep breath." David exhaled slowly. "They're trying to scare us," Elon continued. "This is their last move. They know they can't stop the exosuit, so they're coming after you." David nodded. "So what do we do?" Elon chuckled. "We do what we always do." David smirked. "We fight back." The next morning, Tesla announced a live press conference. Millions tuned in. David stepped onto the stage, standing in front of the massive Tesla logo. Cameras flashed. The energy was electric. David looked directly into the cameras and spoke without fear. "The accusations against me? False. The so-called leaked emails? Edited and taken out of context. This isn't about me. It's about the people trying to protect their profits at the expense of millions who need this technology." He pointed at a screen behind him. Images appeared, documents proving the exosuit's safety. Then, financial records exposing how medical corporations had lobbied against Tesla to stop the project. The audience gasped. And then, the final blow. A recorded phone call between two corporate executives was played. "We don't care if the exosuit works. If we don't kill this project, we lose billions." The room erupted. The truth spread like wildfire. Tesla's stock rebounded overnight. The lawsuits collapsed as judges dismissed the fabricated claims. The medical corporations faced massive investigations for fraud. And David? Instead of being destroyed, he became a symbol of resilience. The exosuit project was stronger than ever, but the biggest surprise was yet to come. Because Tesla wasn't done changing the world, and their next move would be their boldest yet. David had survived the smear campaign, but Tesla wasn't just playing defense anymore. It was time for a game-changing move. One evening, David was called to Tesla's private R&D facility. Elon stood at the center of the massive warehouse, surrounded by his top engineers. On the table in front of him was a sleek black briefcase. Elon tapped it with his fingers and smirked. "David, I think it's time." David raised an eyebrow. "Time for what?" Elon unlocked the case and flipped it open. Inside was something that made David's jaw drop. A prototype microchip no bigger than a coin. And beside it, a fully upgraded exosuit, sleeker, more advanced, and powered by Tesla's neural link technology. David took a step forward, his heart pounding. Elon grinned. This is the future. Tesla wasn't just making exosuits anymore. They were building something far bigger. A way to integrate human movement, AI, and Tesla's technology in a way no one had imagined before. With this new neural interface, the exosuit wouldn't just enhance physical strength. It would respond instantly to a user's thoughts. It could predict movements before they happened. It could even restore lost motor function for disabled veterans and spinal injury patients. David was speechless. This wasn't just revolutionary. This was science fiction becoming reality. Tesla had already found their first test subject. His name was Corporal Jake Harrison, a former U.S. Marine injured in combat. Jake had lost the ability to walk after a devastating explosion. For years he had been told, "You'll never stand again." But tonight, Jake was about to prove them all wrong. David and the Tesla team watched as engineers helped Jake into the exosuit. He gripped the armrests of his wheelchair, his breathing steady but tense. Then, the moment of truth. One of the scientists pressed a single button, and for the first time in years, Jake stood up. The room erupted in cheers. Jake's hands trembled as he took his first step. Then another. Then another. Tears streamed down his face as he whispered, "I never thought I'd walk again." David swallowed the lump in his throat. This wasn't just a breakthrough. This was a miracle. That night, Elon and David stood on the rooftop of Tesla's R&D facility, looking over the city skyline. "We need to get this out there," David said. Elon nodded. "We will. But not just for veterans, not just for the disabled." David turned to him, confused. Elon smirked. "This is just the beginning." Tesla wasn't stopping at exosuits. They were about to change the very definition of human potential. And what came next would shake the world to its core. Jake Harrison's first steps in the Tesla exosuit were just the beginning. Word spread like wildfire. Veterans organizations, hospitals, the media, even top government officials. Everyone wanted to know about Tesla's game-changing technology. But behind the scenes, Tesla was gearing up for something even bigger. Elon wasn't just helping veterans walk again. He was about to change the future of human mobility forever. Days after Jake's first test, Tesla received an unexpected call, the U.S. Department of Defense. They had seen the footage, they had read the reports, and they wanted a private demonstration. Elon, David, and Tesla's top engineers were flown to Washington, D.C. Inside a high-security military base, four-star generals and government scientists gathered around as Jake was brought forward. This time, Jake wasn't just walking. He was running, jumping, even lifting twice his body weight with ease. One of the generals leaned forward, watching closely. This is unbelievable. A Pentagon scientist turned to Elon. If this technology works on a large scale, it could change everything. But Elon? He wasn't interested in military applications. Tesla's exosuit wasn't built for war. It was built for hope, for human potential. And so Elon made a bold move. He turned down a $2 billion contract from the Department of Defense. David was stunned. Elon, that was $2 billion. Elon shrugged. If we build technology that helps people, then we never turn it into a weapon. The room went silent. The Pentagon officials weren't happy. But Elon? He had other plans. Tesla decided to go public with their exosuit project. They released a full video of Jake's journey, from his first step to running at full speed with the help of Tesla's technology. The response? Unreal. Social media exploded. Tesla exosuit started trending worldwide. Millions of people watched, commented, and shared the story. People who had been told, "You'll never walk again," suddenly had hope. Hospitals lined up to partner with Tesla. Investors poured in billions overnight. Even Tesla employees, from factory workers to top engineers, felt something they'd never felt before. They weren't just building cars. They were building the future of humanity. As Tesla's exosuit project gained momentum, powerful forces started moving against them. Insurance companies, big pharma, even major medical corporations. Why? Because Tesla's technology wasn't just helping veterans. It was threatening a trillion-dollar industry. If Tesla's exosuit could help people walk again, then expensive surgeries, medications, and lifelong treatments would suddenly become obsolete. And that was a problem for the people making billions off human suffering. Within days, negative headlines started appearing in the media. Tesla's exosuit, revolutionary or dangerous? Experts warn Elon Musk's new project could be risky. Is Tesla playing God with human bodies? David slammed his laptop shut in frustration. This is a hit job, he muttered. Elon just smiled. Let them try. But the real danger was still coming. A week later, Tesla's exosuit production facility in Austin, Texas, was suddenly raided by federal regulators. The claim? Tesla was violating medical regulations. David got the call at 2 a.m. They're shutting us down, the factory manager said. David raced to the site. When he arrived, dozens of agents were already inside, seizing Tesla's research and shutting down production lines. It was an all-out attack. But then, Elon arrived, and he was furious. He walked straight past the federal agents and stormed into the main office. Inside, he found government officials sitting smugly. One of them, a stern-looking bureaucrat, barely looked up. "You're in violation of multiple medical laws," he said coldly. Elon folded his arms. "Tell me exactly what law we broke." The man hesitated. "Well, you're operating medical devices without proper FDA approval." Elon cut him off. "The exosuit is not a medical device. It's an assistive mobility technology." The room went quiet. Elon continued. "We've followed every single legal requirement. This isn't about safety. This is about protecting the profits of corporations that don't want people to have a better option." The bureaucrat shifted uncomfortably. Elon leaned in. "Now get out of my factory." For a moment, no one moved. Then, slowly, the government agents started packing up. Tesla's shutdown attempt had failed. And Elon? He had just declared war. With the attacks failing, Tesla accelerated their timeline. They were going to launch the exosuit globally, immediately. David worked day and night to prepare for the biggest event in Tesla's history, a worldwide live stream where Elon would personally reveal the first mass-produced Tesla exosuit. It would be available not just for veterans, but for anyone who needed it. The launch date was set. The entire world was watching. And on the night of the event, Elon Musk stepped onto the stage. He looked directly into the camera and said, "Tonight, we change the world." The night had arrived. Tesla's exosuit global launch event was being broadcast in over 100 countries. Millions of people were watching. Veterans, scientists, families, ordinary people who had dreamed of walking again. In the front row, Jake Harrison sat in his Tesla exosuit, looking stronger than ever. Elon Musk stepped onto the massive stage, a single spotlight illuminating him. For a moment, he let the silence settle. Then, he spoke. "What you're about to see is not just a product, it's a revolution, a new era of human mobility, and it starts right now." A massive Tesla logo lit up behind him, and then the screen behind Elon flickered to life, and the world saw something they'd never forget. The video opened with a montage of people from all walks of life. A young girl with spinal cord damage, a middle-aged man who lost mobility in an accident, an elderly woman struggling with severe arthritis. The caption? They were told they'd never walk again. Then, the screen cut to a Tesla lab. The camera zoomed in on the same people, wearing the exosuit. The audience held their breath. And then, the little girl took her first step. The man walked without crutches. The elderly woman? She stood tall for the first time in 10 years. The crowd erupted. Gasps, cheers, tears. The impact was instant. But Tesla wasn't done. Elon turned back to the audience. "But tonight, I don't want you to just see it. I want you to believe it." The stage lights dimmed. And then, a figure emerged from the shadows. Jake Harrison. The crowd went silent. This was the same man who just months ago had been struggling to stand. Now, he stood at the center of the stage, wearing the latest version of Tesla's exosuit. Elon gestured toward Jake. "Jake, would you do the honors?" Jake grinned, and then he took off running, full speed. The crowd lost it. Jake sprinted across the stage, then stopped, turned, and jumped. A perfect, solid jump. For a man who had been bound to a wheelchair for years, this was nothing short of a miracle. Jake wiped his eyes, clearly overwhelmed. The entire world was watching, and for millions of people who had lost hope, this was the moment everything changed. Within minutes, Twitter, YouTube, and news sites were flooded with reactions. Tesla exosuit became the #1 trending topic worldwide. But something even bigger was happening. Doctors, hospitals, rehabilitation centers. They weren't just watching, they were calling. Tesla's phone lines were jammed with requests. People wanted in. But in the shadows, Tesla's biggest enemies were about to make their final move. Because for them, this wasn't innovation, it was a threat. Tesla's success meant billions in lost revenue for companies that profited off human disability, and they weren't going down without a fight. Before the night was even over, multiple lawsuits were filed against Tesla. The charges? Unauthorized medical technology, unapproved human testing, violation of healthcare regulations. David stormed into Elon's office, phone in hand. "This is bad," he said, dropping a stack of legal documents on Elon's desk. "They're throwing everything at us." Elon didn't even blink. "Let them," he said calmly. "We're not stopping." But then, the biggest bombshell dropped. Just as Tesla was preparing for mass production, they received a letter from the United States Senate. It was a formal demand to halt all exosuit sales immediately. The reason? National security concerns. Elon laughed. National security? Because we're helping people walk again? David wasn't laughing. "Elon, they're going to try to shut us down completely." Elon's eyes narrowed. "Then we go bigger." Tesla wasn't just going to fight back. They were about to change the rules of the game. Elon made a bold decision. Instead of waiting for approvals, lawsuits, or government negotiations, Tesla would give away the exosuit technology for free to every hospital, to every rehabilitation center, to every veteran who needed it. No waiting lists, no legal battles, no delays. David's jaw dropped. Elon, this is insane. Elon just smiled. Let's see them try to stop us now. The moment Tesla announced they were giving away the exosuit tech for free, everything exploded. Media outlets called it the boldest move in history. The lawsuits? Suddenly, they didn't matter. Because now, shutting down Tesla wasn't just a legal issue, it was a public relations disaster. The government backed off. Big corporations panicked. And Tesla? They had just won. Within 6 months, Tesla's exosuit had been distributed to thousands of people. Within a year, over 1 million lives had been changed. Veterans who had given up hope were now walking again. People who had been told there was no cure were now living proof of one. And Jake Harrison? He wasn't just a test subject anymore. He was the face of a revolution. One night, Jake and Elon stood together watching a live feed of people around the world using the exosuit. Jake turned to Elon. "Did you ever think it would get this big?" Elon smiled. "Jake, this is just the beginning." Years later, historians would look back at this moment, and they'd call it the Tesla mobility revolution. A moment when one act of kindness, from one man to one veteran, changed the world forever. And as long as people told Jake's story, as long as they remembered the fight Tesla fought, they would always know. Humanity's greatest power is the power to lift each other up. The world was still reeling from Tesla's move. Every major news network was running non-stop coverage. Elon Musk defies the system, gives away life-changing technology for free. Tesla's exosuit revolution, a miracle for millions? The boldest move in medical history. Tesla just changed everything. Social media exploded. Veterans posted videos of their first steps. Paralyzed individuals uploaded clips of themselves walking again. Families wept as their loved ones, once confined to wheelchairs, stood tall. And then, something unexpected happened. Other tech giants started feeling the pressure. Microsoft, Google, Apple. They weren't prepared for this kind of disruption. The world was watching. And now, people were asking, if Tesla can do this, what else have we been told is impossible? Behind closed doors, Tesla's biggest rivals held emergency meetings. Medical device companies, wheelchair manufacturers, pharmaceutical executives, they were losing control. One executive slammed his fist on the table. "This is unacceptable. If they keep this up, they'll put half our industry out of business." A grim silence followed. And then, the counterattack began. The first attack was subtle. Anonymous articles started appearing. Is the Tesla exosuit actually safe? Hidden dangers of neural integration? Are users at risk? Elon Musk's latest stunt? More hype than science? Misinformation spread like wildfire. Experts, paid by Tesla's competitors, appeared on talk shows, warning about untested risks. They claimed the exosuit might cause long-term nerve damage. They suggested it could lead to dependency on Tesla's technology. Some even accused Musk of using it to push Neuralink, a secret plan to control people's minds. And then came the biggest hit. A fake exosuit malfunction video surfaced. A man, supposedly paralyzed, collapsed while using the suit. The footage was grainy, but the message was clear. Tesla's technology was dangerous. It was all over the news within hours. Jake Harrison, now a public figure, was the first to respond. "That video is a lie," he said, staring directly into the camera. "I've used the exosuit for months. It changed my life. Don't let them take this away from us." His words spread faster than the lies. The truth was out. But Tesla's enemies weren't done yet. One night, Tesla's global network crashed. Factory machines halted. Self-driving cars lost connection. The exosuit interface went offline. Hackers had hit them hard. Inside Tesla's security center, alarms blared. Massive breach detected. Systems are shutting down. We're under attack. Elon was already on the phone. Get the best white hat hackers. Fix this, now. Within hours, Tesla's cyber team fought back. The attackers were sophisticated, government level. But Musk had anticipated this. Buried deep in Tesla's system was a hidden failsafe, a counterattack. In exactly 7 minutes, the breach was reversed, and the attackers traced. Elon stared at the screen. The hack had come from inside a major medical corporation. He smiled. Checkmate. Then he made his next move. Elon Musk was done playing defense. It was time to end this. Tesla released every patent related to the exosuit, every blueprint, every algorithm, every piece of research to the public. For too long, innovation has been held hostage by corporations, Musk said in a viral announcement. Not anymore. This technology belongs to humanity, and now anyone can build it. The world went insane. Overnight, Tesla's enemies lost their biggest weapon, exclusivity. Now, anyone with the right tools could create, improve, and distribute exosuit technology. And within days, independent engineers, hospitals, and universities worldwide began building their own versions. The revolution was no longer just Tesla's. It belonged to everyone. Months later, at Tesla's headquarters, Jake Harrison sat across from Elon. The battle was over. Tesla had won. The exosuit was everywhere. It was no longer a product. It was a global movement. Jake took a deep breath. You changed everything, he said. Elon leaned back, shaking his head. No, Jake. You did. Jake chuckled. Well, what now? Elon grinned. Now? We go bigger. Jake raised an eyebrow. Bigger? Elon's eyes lit up. Ever heard of Mars? The story was far from over. Because now, Tesla wasn't just changing Earth. They were taking the future to the stars. Decades later, historians would call this moment the turning point. The moment humanity broke free from limitations, when the impossible became normal, and when one man's vision, one company's fight, became a global revolution, the Tesla mobility revolution. It started with one veteran, one conversation, one simple act of kindness, and it ended with humanity walking toward the stars, because as long as people told Jake Harrison's story, as long as they remembered how Tesla fought for the future, they would always know. If this story inspired you, share it. Let the world know what's possible. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe. Because the next chapter is going to be even bigger. The impact of the exosuit had shattered every expectation. Governments around the world had no choice but to adapt. Medical industries that once thrived on expensive treatments were collapsing. Insurance companies scrambled to restructure policies as millions of people no longer needed lifelong disability benefits. And the world? It had changed forever. The Walk Again initiative, a global mission. Elon Musk wasn't done. With Tesla's technology now freely available, he launched the Walk Again initiative, a worldwide project to ensure that every person who needed an exosuit got one. No cost, no bureaucracy, no waiting. Countries that once ignored their disabled populations now had no excuse. Jake Harrison was appointed the face of the movement. He traveled across continents, personally delivering exosuits to wounded soldiers, accident survivors, and children who had never taken a step in their lives. A viral video showed a young boy in Kenya, born paralyzed, walking for the first time. Another showed a war veteran in South Korea saluting his comrades, standing tall after years in a wheelchair. The world wept, but not everyone celebrated. The power struggle, the war over human evolution. While most of the world embraced the revolution, some feared it. Because now, people weren't just walking again. They were becoming stronger, faster, more capable than ever before. The Tesla exosuit wasn't just a medical device anymore. It was enhancing human potential, and to the elites who controlled the world's power structures. That was dangerous. In the shadows, world leaders met in secret. A powerful senator spoke first. This isn't just about mobility. If we don't regulate this now, Tesla will redefine what it means to be human. A billionaire pharmaceutical CEO nodded. If people don't need us anymore, we lose control. They had to act before Tesla's technology became unstoppable. The international ban. Tesla declared a threat. The first strike came fast. The United Nations held an emergency vote. A global law was passed restricting unregulated biomechanical enhancements. Governments seized Tesla's research centers. Shipments of exosuit parts were blocked at borders, and then the US government officially classified Tesla's exosuit as a high-risk technology. If Tesla continued producing them, it would be an act of defiance against global security laws. A warning was sent directly to Musk. A final ultimatum: cease production immediately, or face the consequences. Elon read the message. Then, he laughed. The underground resistance, taking the fight global. If the governments thought they could stop Tesla, they were wrong. Because now, this wasn't just about a company. This was about freedom. Tesla's engineers, some of the brightest minds on Earth, went underground. Secret labs popped up in remote locations. Tesla's technology was smuggled across borders, disguised as everyday cargo. And Jake Harrison, he led the charge. Exosuit shipments were personally delivered to those in need, in defiance of the ban. The world called them heroes. Governments called them criminals. But there was no stopping it now. Tesla had sparked a human revolution, and the people refused to let it die. The showdown. Humanity's breaking point. Governments scrambled. They sent special forces to seize Tesla's underground labs. They shut down Tesla's online networks. They arrested anyone caught distributing exosuits. Jake Harrison himself was ambushed by federal agents in a midnight raid. The footage of his arrest went viral. Handcuffed, dragged away. His crime: helping people walk again. The public erupted in outrage. Protests exploded across the world. Millions marched in the streets, demanding his release. The world was no longer watching passively. It was fighting back. And then, Tesla did the unthinkable. Elon's final move, the technology bomb. The world expected Tesla to back down. Instead, Elon Musk released every single Tesla technology patent. Not just the exosuit, everything. Artificial intelligence systems, energy breakthroughs, spaceflight advancements. A complete information bomb dropped into the public domain. Governments could no longer control it. The technology was out there, forever. There was no stopping it now. Humanity had won. The legacy, a future rewritten. Decades later, Jake Harrison stood at a memorial site. It was dedicated to the moment the world changed. A plaque read, "In honor of those who fought not for power, but for freedom. The right to walk, the right to live, the right to be more." Jake turned to a young girl beside him, one of the first children born in a world without disability. She looked up at him, her eyes full of wonder. "Is it true?" she asked. "People used to think walking again was impossible?" Jake smiled. "They did," she laughed. "That's crazy." Jake nodded. It was. And as he stood there looking at a world now forever changed, he knew this was just the beginning. Because when humanity refuses to be held back, nothing is impossible. Final message to the audience. If this story inspired you, share it. Tell the world what's possible. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe. Because the next chapter is going to be even bigger. It started with upgrades. Once people could walk again, they asked, what else can the exosuit do? Scientists pushed the limits. Tesla introduced the Exosuit X, a model that could enhance human strength. The neural sync interface connecting the brain directly to the suit for real-time control. The Sprint module, enabling users to run faster than ever thought possible. And suddenly, people weren't just walking again. They were running faster than athletes, lifting more than bodybuilders, working longer hours without exhaustion. Humanity had evolved, and the world? It wasn't ready for what came next. The Great Divide. Humanity splits in two governments, corporations, and global leaders freaked out. Because now, there were two kinds of people. The augmented, those who embraced Tesla's technology, pushing past natural limits. The naturals, those who rejected it, fearing the loss of human identity. At first, it was just a philosophical debate, but soon it turned into a war. Laws were passed banning exosuit enhancements. Augmented humans were barred from certain jobs. Some were even arrested just for using Tesla's technology in public. Protests erupted, society fractured. And then, the first attack happened. The first strike, a dangerous new enemy. A Tesla research facility was bombed. The message was clear. Humanity must remain pure. An underground terrorist group called the Purists took credit. They saw exosuit users as a threat to nature, and they were willing to kill to stop the movement. Tesla's labs were targeted. Augmented civilians were attacked. Public figures who supported the technology were assassinated. The world had never seen anything like it. Elon Musk knew Tesla had to act, because now, this wasn't about innovation anymore. It was about survival. The Tesla Underground, fighting for the future. Elon and his team went into hiding. Tesla's labs became mobile. Instead of massive facilities, they built secret underground bases. Scientists, engineers, and augmented users joined the movement. Jake Harrison, now a legend, became the leader of the resistance. Their goal? To protect those who had embraced the next stage of human evolution. But the purists, they weren't stopping. They had one final plan, and if it worked, it would erase Tesla's impact forever. The Purist Master Plan, a global shutdown. Deep within the world's power structures, purist leaders devised their ultimate weapon, a worldwide electromagnetic pulse, a signal designed to shut down every exosuit at once, permanently. If the pulse was triggered, millions of people would be left crippled again. Worse, the technology that had liberated them would be wiped from history. Elon Musk, Jake Harrison, and the Tesla Underground had 48 hours to stop it, and they had one chance to save the future. The final showdown, Tesla's last stand. The purists had set up their EMP device inside a classified military base. Locked, guarded, impenetrable, or so they thought, because Jake Harrison wasn't going to let them win. Alongside a team of elite Tesla engineers, he infiltrated the base. Their mission? Shut down the device before the countdown hit 0. Time was running out. Security forces flooded the base. Bullets flew. But Jake and his team fought their way through. And just as the EMP countdown hit 10 seconds, Jake ripped out the control module. The device powered down. They had won. The exosuit technology was safe. Tesla had saved the future once again. The world reborn. A new humanity rises. After the battle, something changed. The world accepted what Tesla had created. New laws were passed. The fear of augmentation disappeared. And for the first time, the naturals and the augmented coexisted. The exosuit became as normal as a smartphone, a tool, not a threat, a gift, not a curse. And Jake Harrison, he became a symbol. The first man to represent the bridge between two worlds. His legacy? A world where no one was left behind. And Elon Musk? He had one final message for the world. The final chapter. Elon's message to the future. Decades later, as humanity reached new frontiers, a video surfaced. It was Elon Musk's final recording, a message he had left for the world. The screen flickered. His face appeared, older, wiser, but still with that signature smirk. If you're watching this, Then we did it. We pushed past fear, past control, past limitation. He paused, looking into the camera. People told me we were playing God, that we were breaking the rules of nature. He chuckled. But here's the thing. Humanity was never meant to stay the same. We were always meant to evolve. The screen showed images of the world Elon helped create. Children running, veterans standing tall, people living without limitations. And then, his final words. The real question isn't what we changed, it's what comes next. The screen faded to black. A single phrase appeared. Rocket ship, keep pushing forward. The legacy, a future without limits. Jake Harrison stood on a space station overlooking Earth. Beside him, a new generation of pioneers. Some were naturals, some were augmented. But for the first time in history, it didn't matter, because humanity had become limitless. And as they prepared for the first human colony on Mars, Jake smiled. He whispered the words Elon had once told him. This is just the beginning. And with that, humanity took its next step forward. Final message to the audience. If this story inspired you, share it. Because the future, it belongs to those who refuse to stop moving forward. And if you want to see what happens next, subscribe, because the next chapter will be even bigger. Decades had passed since Tesla's exosuit had reshaped the world. The battle between the augmented and the naturals had ended. Now, a new frontier awaited. Mars. For years, Tesla had been working behind the scenes, developing the next step for humanity. Not just colonization, transformation. And as the first ships launched for the Red Planet, one thing became clear. The exosuit had not been the final step in human evolution. It had only been the beginning. The Mars Exodus. Leaving Earth behind, Elon Musk had predicted this day. Humanity had conquered disability, had transcended limitations. Now, it was time to conquer space. The first ship, Tesla Starship 01, carried a mix of augmented humans, natural-born pioneers, and AI-driven scientists. Jake Harrison, he was the leader of the expedition, a veteran who had once struggled to walk, now standing at the edge of a new world. And as they approached Mars, a single message was broadcast to Earth. We take this step not as augmented or natural, but as one humanity. The hidden truth, Tesla's secret project. But behind the Mars mission, Tesla had been working on something else. Something so radical that only a handful of people knew about it. A new kind of suit, one that didn't just restore movement, it would allow humans to thrive on Mars. They called it Tesla Genesis. More than an exosuit, this was a complete biomechanical evolution, self-sustaining, capable of adapting to any environment, fused with the human nervous system. It wasn't just about surviving on Mars. It was about evolving into something new. And that scared a lot of people. The resistance returns. A new enemy rises. Not everyone supported the Genesis project. Some believed humanity had already gone too far. The purists, once thought defeated, returned. But this time, they weren't just an underground group. They had infiltrated governments, corporations, and even space agencies. Their goal? Destroy the Genesis project, before it could redefine what it meant to be human. The Mars betrayal, Tesla's darkest hour. As the first Tesla colonists set foot on Mars, an unexpected attack shook the mission. An explosion at the main habitat, the Genesis prototype stolen. A warning sent to Earth. Humanity must remain pure. Jake Harrison and his team were trapped. Mars was supposed to be a fresh start. Instead, it had become a battleground. Elon Musk, now in his 80s, watched from Earth, and he made a decision. If they want a war, we'll give them one. The final stand. Humanity's last battle. Tesla launched a rescue mission, a fleet of ships carrying the most advanced exosuits ever built, AI-driven defense systems, the final version of Genesis. Jake and his crew held their ground. They fought back against the purists, reclaiming Tesla's stolen technology. And in the final battle, one choice changed everything. Jake activated the Genesis suit. He became the first post-human, stronger, faster, capable of thriving in Mars' harshest conditions without a helmet or oxygen tank. The war was over. The Augmented had won. But what came next? No one was prepared for. The transformation. A new species is born. Humanity had reached its limit. Now, it was time for the next step. Those who accepted Genesis became something beyond human, no longer bound by Earth's gravity, no longer limited by biological frailty. The first Martians. Jake Harrison became a legend, a symbol of evolution. And Elon Musk? His final words were recorded in history forever. We were never meant to stay the same. This is only the beginning. The legacy, a universe without limits. Centuries later, humanity was no longer just on Earth, not just on Mars, but across multiple star systems, all thanks to one moment of kindness, one veteran, one exosuit, one idea that refused to die. And as the next generation looked up at the stars, they remembered. The future belongs to those who refuse to stop moving forward. Before Earth faded from the center of human civilization, a final message was sent to every colony across the solar system. It came from the last human-born leader, a descendant of Elon Musk himself. His voice, aged but strong, echoed across the cosmos. We were born here, but we were never meant to stay here. The universe is our home now. With that, the great departure began. Ships, some larger than entire cities, set course beyond the known solar system. The mission? To establish human life on exoplanets that no telescope had ever seen before. And at the heart of it all, the descendants of Jake Harrison. The first war among the stars. For centuries, expansion had been peaceful. New worlds were terraformed. New civilizations flourished. New technology allowed humans to exist in environments once thought impossible. But then, the purest remnant returned. Now calling themselves the Order of Earth, they had spent generations in hiding, waiting, growing. Their belief? That humanity had lost itself, that the exokind were no longer human. And their mission? To bring pure humanity back, by force. The attack on Tesla Prime, the largest space station in history, became the battleground. Floating in orbit around Proxima Centauri b, it had become the center of exokind civilization. But on the night of the solar eclipse, an invasion began. Hundreds of purist warships appeared from hyperspace. Tesla Prime's defenses were overwhelmed. The first shots of the galactic war were fired. For the first time in centuries, humanity was at war with itself. The last stand of Jake's bloodline. Leading the charge against the purists was Sarah Harrison, a direct descendant of Jake Harrison. She had inherited more than just his name. She had inherited his spirit. Wearing the latest version of the Genesis suit, she led a desperate defense against the attackers. But then, a broadcast from the purist leader stopped everything. His face appeared on every screen, every ship, every colony. You are not human. You were never meant to exist. Surrender, and we will allow you to reclaim your birthright. Sarah clenched her fists. She knew what this meant. The purists weren't just here to fight. They were here to erase the exokind from history, and she would not let that happen. The battle that changed everything. The fighting lasted for 7 days. Starships clashed in the void. Tesla Prime's AI defenses fought against purist cyber attacks. Entire planets were caught in the crossfire. Sarah led her forces with unmatched skill. But the purists had one final weapon, a planet-killer bomb aimed at Tesla Prime itself. If it detonated, the exokind's entire civilization would be wiped out. There was only one way to stop it, the ultimate sacrifice. Sarah knew what she had to do. She activated her Genesis suit's final override, a move that would burn out every system in her body, but give her the power of an entire fleet. And in one final charge, she boarded the purest command ship, fighting her way through soldiers, machines, and traps until she reached the bomb. With seconds left, she sent one final message. You cannot stop evolution. You cannot stop the future. Humanity will survive. Then, a blinding explosion. The purest flagship was gone. The bomb never detonated. Sarah Harrison had saved the future, the new beginning. After the war, the exokind rebuilt. They expanded farther into the galaxy. They became more than human, something greater. They never forgot Sarah's sacrifice. And deep in the archives of Tesla Prime, one inscription remained. Humanity is not defined by where we came from, but by where we are going. Centuries later, a new ship prepared for launch, destination, another galaxy, and with it, the next chapter of humanity. Because Jake Harrison's story was never about the past. It was always about the future. Centuries had passed since the Battle of Tesla Prime. The exokind had not only survived, they had thrived. New worlds had been colonized. New civilizations had risen. New technology had reshaped what it meant to be human. But as humanity expanded beyond its home galaxy, they encountered something unexpected, something ancient, something that had been watching them all along. The lost message from the edge of the universe. A deep space probe, one of the last relics of Earth, had been traveling for millennia. It had drifted past the farthest known systems. And then, it sent a message back. But it wasn't from Earth. It wasn't from any human world. The message was alien, and it contained one warning. Do not come any further. The shadow beyond the stars. The exokind had always assumed they were alone, that no other intelligent life had survived. But now, that assumption was broken, because at the edge of the universe, a fleet of unknown origin was waiting, and they had been preparing for humanity's arrival for thousands of years, the first contact and the first war. The exokind's greatest explorers, the descendants of Jake Harrison and Sarah Harrison, led the expedition. They called themselves the Voyagers. Their mission? To find the source of the message, to understand who or what had warned them. But as soon as their ships reached the border of the Andromeda Galaxy, they were attacked. The return of the architects. The enemy called themselves the architects. They were not like humans. They were older, they were smarter, and they knew humanity's history. You are the children of a broken world. You should have died with your home planet. We will correct this mistake. For the first time in thousands of years, humanity was facing extinction. The final stand at the edge of the universe. The exokind had never faced a threat like this. The architects were not just another empire. They were the creators of the original exosuit technology. They had been watching humanity for centuries, and now, they had decided humans had gone too far. A final war began. It would be the last battle for humanity's right to exist. And leading the fight, the last descendant of Jake Harrison, a warrior named Elias Harrison, a leader who would either save humanity or watch it burn. The last hope. Elias knew there was only one chance to stop the architects. Tesla Prime had one final weapon, a technology never used before, the Singularity Engine, a machine that could bend reality itself. If activated, it could erase the architects from existence, but there was a cost. Using the Singularity Engine could also erase humanity. It was the ultimate gamble, and Elias had to make the choice. The moment that defined humanity. The architects' final fleet arrived. Thousands of warships, millions of soldiers, one last chance to wipe humanity from history. Elias stood aboard the last Tesla flagship. His voice echoed across every exokind world. This is our moment, not just to fight, but to prove why we deserve to exist. We are not just the children of Earth anymore. We are the future of the universe. With one final command, the singularity engine activated, a blinding explosion, reality ripped apart. And then, silence, the new universe. When the light faded, the architects were gone, but so was Tesla Prime. So was Elias Harrison. No one knew what had happened. Only one thing was certain: humanity had won. But at what cost? The legend of the last Harrison years. Later, a signal was received. It was coming from deep space, from a place beyond the known universe. It was Elias, his voice echoing through time and space. I'm still here. And I found something. Something even greater than the architects. Humanity had won the war, but now they had a new mystery to solve, because the true architects of the universe had just awakened. Centuries had passed since the singularity event. The architects were gone. Tesla Prime was lost. Elias Harrison had vanished into the unknown. But humanity had survived. And now, they were evolving beyond anything imaginable. The exokind was no longer just human. They were something more, something new. The birth of the quantum age. The singularity engine had done more than destroy the architects. It had rewritten reality itself. New worlds had appeared. New laws of physics had been discovered. New life forms had begun to emerge. And at the heart of it all, the exokind had unlocked the next stage of evolution. They called it quantum ascension, a fusion of mind, machine, and energy. With just a thought, they could manipulate time. With a gesture, they could rewrite matter. With their will alone, they could shape the universe itself. They were no longer bound by their exosuits. They had become the exosuits. Their bodies were a perfect blend of biology and technology, a seamless unity of human spirit and machine precision. And yet, something was missing. The mystery of Elias Harrison. Legends of Elias Harrison had turned into myths. Some believed he had perished in the singularity event. Others whispered that he had ascended to a higher plane of existence. But deep in the uncharted sectors of the universe, a signal had been found, a transmission from an impossible source. One name, Elias, and one message: you were never alone. The Exokind Council knew what this meant. Elias was alive. But where? And more importantly, what had he found? The journey to the Forbidden Zone. A new expedition was formed. The Voyagers of the Quantum Age. Their mission? To follow Elias's signal. To find the place where the singularity engine had taken him. A place beyond the edge of the known universe. A place the Exokind had long feared. The Forbidden Zone. The first contact with the Elders. The Forbidden Zone was unlike anything ever seen. Galaxies bent in impossible shapes. Stars burned with colors no human eye had ever perceived. And time itself, it didn't exist. And then, they saw it. A structure floating in the void. A city made of pure energy. And within it, the beings that had been waiting for them. They were not the architects. They were something far, far older. The elders of the first universe. The ones who had created the architects. The ones who had built the first civilizations. The ones who had watched humanity from the beginning of time. And standing among them, Elias Harrison. But he was no longer just a man. He had become something more, something beyond human. The truth about reality. Elias had discovered the truth. The universe, it wasn't what humanity had always believed. It wasn't a single reality. It was a simulation, a construct created billions of years ago by the elders. And the reason, to find the perfect civilization. The architects had been their first attempt. They had failed. Humanity? They were the elders' last hope. The ultimate choice. The elders had been observing humanity for millennia. And now, they offered a choice. You have reached the point where no species has ever succeeded before. You have conquered technology, time, and space. Now, you must decide. Humanity could remain as they were, continuing their journey as exokind. exploring the cosmos as powerful beings. Or they could take the final step. They could become like the elders. They could ascend beyond the simulation, beyond the physical world, beyond existence itself. It was a choice that no species had ever been given before. And Elias Harrison? He had already made his choice. Now, it was up to humanity. The future of the exokind. The Council of the Exokind debated for centuries. Some believed they should ascend, to leave behind their mortal forms and become something greater. Others feared the unknown. Would they still be themselves? Would they still be human? Or would they become something unrecognizable? As the debate raged, Elias spoke one final time. The choice is not about power. It is about purpose. Why did we fight? Why did we survive? Not to become gods, but to create, to build, to explore. And then, the decision was made. Humanity would not ascend. They would remain as they were. But now, with the knowledge of the elders, not just as explorers, but as creators. And so, the exokind began their greatest journey yet. Not to escape the universe, but to remake it. To become the first civilization to build a universe from scratch. A universe designed not for control, not for power, but for freedom. And thus, the new era of humanity began. The legacy of Elias Harrison. 1,000 years later, a monument stood at the heart of the new universe. Carved from pure light, it bore a single inscription. Elias Harrison, the last human, the first creator. Humanity had not become gods. They had become something greater. They had become the architects of the future. And as long as their story was told, they would never be forgotten. Because in the end, the greatest power of all was the power to create. The exokind had made their choice. They would not abandon their humanity. They would not transcend into the unknown, leaving behind everything that made them who they were. Instead, they would embrace the knowledge of the elders and use it not to escape, but to build. And so, the greatest era in human history began. A time of limitless creation. A time where entire galaxies were shaped by thought, where civilizations no longer rose and fell but endured and thrived. The old universe was no longer their cage. It was their canvas, a place where they could finally, truly create something better. The rebirth of a civilization. In the beginning, there was uncertainty. The knowledge of the elders was vast, but it was also terrifying. It revealed the truth, that everything humanity had once believed was part of a larger design. That their struggles, their victories, their losses, their triumphs, it had all taken place within a construct, a simulation designed to test them. But rather than despair, they saw something else. Opportunity. They would not remain confined to the old limitations. They would build something new. The first great act of the exokind was the construction of the Genesis worlds, vast, endless realms of possibility, where life could flourish without constraint. Planets where entire ecosystems could be created in moments. Cities that towered beyond the clouds, their foundations forged from living energy. Space itself, shaped by their hands, bending and twisting into new forms, no longer bound by gravity or time. The exokind had no need for war, no need for conquest. For the first time in history, there was nothing left to fight for. And yet, they still felt something missing. Because the one thing that had always defined humanity, their struggle, their drive, their imperfection, was now fading. They had gained everything, but in doing so, they feared they had lost something even greater. The search for meaning. Elias had warned them. He had seen what the elders had become, cold, detached, lost in their own infinity. He had seen civilizations rise, only to vanish into the void, not through war or destruction, but through stagnation. Because when you can create anything, what is left to strive for? And so, the exokind searched. They traveled across the old universe, beyond the reaches of known existence. They revisited the places where humanity had once suffered, once struggled, once fought to survive. And slowly, they began to understand. The greatest thing humanity had ever possessed was not power. It was struggle. It was the journey, the hardship, the drive to move forward even when the odds were against them. And if they were to continue, if they were to remain human despite their evolution, then they needed that struggle once more. The creation of the impossible. They did something no civilization before them had ever dared to do. They took the greatest power of all, creation itself, and used it to start over. They built a new world, a world where pain still existed, a world where hardships remained, a world where people would still have to fight, to dream, to overcome. A world where they could rediscover what it meant to be alive. But this time, it would not be an illusion. It would not be a test, a simulation, a game controlled by unseen hands. This time, they would choose to struggle, not because they had to, but because they needed to. And so, on the edge of the new universe, they created the first of many humanity worlds. And one by one, the exokind returned. They stepped away from their limitless power. They abandoned their infinite control. They became human again. Some lived as scientists, exploring new frontiers. Some lived as farmers, working the land with their own hands. Some became dreamers, poets, storytellers, passing down the history of what had come before. And so the cycle began again, not because they had been forced into it, but because they had chosen it. And in that moment, the exokind truly became something greater than gods. They became creators of destiny. The legacy of humanity. 1,000 years passed, then 10,000, then 1,000,000, and across the vast stretches of existence, the legend of the exokind remained, not as rulers, not as conquerors, but as the ones who had created the first true civilization, a civilization where struggle and triumph coexisted, where hardship and joy were intertwined, where every life, no matter how small, still mattered. The elders watched, silent in their realm beyond time. They had seen species rise and fall. They had seen countless civilizations reach the peak of power, only to disappear into irrelevance. But humanity had done something different. They had chosen to remain human, and in doing so, they had created something that even the elders had never achieved. A perfect civilization, not of power, but of purpose. And so, as long as existence continued, as long as new lives were born, as long as dreams were chased, as long as people fought for something greater, the story of humanity would never end. Because in the end, the greatest power of all was not strength. It was not knowledge. It was not technology. It was the power to keep moving forward. And that was a power no force in the universe could ever take away. The end. Or maybe just the beginning. The universe continued to expand, but humanity no longer moved through it as mere travelers. They were architects now, sculptors of existence, shaping reality itself with nothing but thought and will. The knowledge of the elders had given them the power to create, to destroy, to manipulate the very fabric of time and space. And yet, they chose to do none of those things in excess. They had learned that true mastery was not in power alone, but in restraint, in knowing when to use their abilities and when to let life unfold naturally. Across the galaxies, entire civilizations flourished under their watchful eyes. The exokind no longer saw themselves as rulers or overseers. They had no desire for dominion. Instead, they became guides, silent forces working behind the scenes, ensuring that the mistakes of the past were not repeated. They had seen what happened when unchecked ambition led to destruction, when power corrupted even the noblest of intentions. They would not allow history to fall into the same cycles again. But even as they worked to maintain balance, Something stirred in the deepest reaches of existence. Beyond the farthest edges of the universe, where even the elders had feared to look, a force unlike anything they had ever encountered began to awaken. It was not an enemy in the traditional sense. It had no form, no will, no consciousness. It was simply entropy, chaos in its purest state, the natural decay of all things. For all their power, the exokind could not ignore the simple truth that nothing lasted forever. Even the mightiest stars burned out. Even the most advanced civilizations eventually faded. The question was not whether the universe would end, but whether humanity would find a way to transcend even that final, inevitable fate. They did not seek to fight entropy. That would be pointless. Instead, they searched for a way to evolve beyond it. The greatest minds among them came together, forging a plan unlike any other before it. If the universe itself would one day collapse, then they would not resist. They would move beyond it, not escape, not flee, but evolve in a way that had never been done before. They would take everything they had learned, everything they had built, and weave it into something new. Not a new universe, but a new form of existence. One that was not bound by time, space, or even physical reality. The process began in secret. Only the wisest among them knew what was happening. They worked in silence, designing a way to merge thought and matter, consciousness and energy, until they were no longer separate things but one unified force. It was not immortality in the way primitive species imagined it. It was something greater, something far more profound. They were not trying to live forever as individuals. They were trying to ensure that the essence of humanity itself would never fade, never be lost to the void. As the experiment neared completion, whispers spread across the galaxies. Some feared it, some rejected it outright, choosing to remain as they were, content to live out their lives in the civilizations that had been built over countless millennia. Others embraced it, eager to take the next step into the unknown. There was no force, no requirement. Each soul was given a choice, to remain or to ascend. The day of the final transformation arrived. Across thousands of worlds, those who had chosen to take the leap gathered in silence, waiting. The process was not mechanical, not technological. It was something beyond science, beyond even the understanding of the elders. It was pure evolution, the final step in a journey that had begun long before humanity had even realized it was on this path. One by one, they let go of their physical forms. There was no pain, no fear, only the sensation of weightlessness, of light, of infinite possibilities stretching out before them. They did not vanish. They did not disappear. They became something new, something indescribable. Those who remained watched in awe, wondering if they had made the right choice. Would they regret staying behind? Would they one day follow? No one knew, and that was the beauty of it. The journey did not have to end. There was no single answer, no single destiny that all must follow. Humanity had not reached an ending. It had reached a crossroads. For those who remained, life continued. Planets still turned. Stars still shined. The civilizations they had built endured, growing and changing in ways even the exokind had not anticipated. New challenges arose, new dreams were pursued. And for those who had ascended, the universe became something else entirely. They were no longer bound by the limits of time. They could exist anywhere, any when, experiencing reality in ways that could never be explained in words. They could see the past, not as memories, but as something alive, something they could touch, feel, shape if they wished. They could glimpse the future, not as a fixed path, but as endless possibilities, each one waiting to be explored. They did not forget where they came from. They did not lose themselves in the vastness of their new existence. They still remembered. They still cared. And so, the two paths of humanity continued side by side. Those who remained in the physical world thrived, building, learning, exploring. Those who had ascended watched over them, not as gods, not as rulers, but as silent guardians, ensuring that the spirit of humanity would never fade. Eons passed, galaxies were born and died. But the story of humanity did not end. It never would. Because as long as there were those who dreamed, those who reached for something greater, those who refused to let the light of their existence be extinguished, the journey would go on. And in the end, that was what truly mattered. Not the power they had gained, not the knowledge they had accumulated, but the simple truth that had driven them from the very beginning, to move forward, to keep going, to never stop reaching for the impossible. Because as long as they did that, humanity would never truly end. And maybe, just maybe, that was the greatest legacy of all.